The deck of the Starlight Serenade, a small coastal yacht, hummed with the clinking of champagne glasses and the low murmur of the crew as I checked my phone under the glow of the setting sun. We were docked off the shores of Crescent Bay, hosting a private event for a group of investors. My phone buzzed with a call from Ethan, my husband of 7 years. I excused myself from the catering team and stepped toward the stern, expecting his usual check-in. "How's the event going? Will you be back at the marina soon?" Instead, his voice sliced through the line, sharp and self-assured. "I'm done, Claire. I'm filing for divorce. Oh, and I sold the beach house. You'll need to find somewhere else to crash. Good luck with that." The words hit like a rogue wave, knocking the air from my lungs. The beach house, our little sanctuary on the cliffs of Crescent Bay, with its weathered cedar walls and wide windows framing the ocean, was ours. Or so I'd thought. I gripped the railing, the salt air stinging my face as I steadied my voice. "You sold the beach house?" I asked, keeping my tone even. "Yeah," Ethan replied, his voice dripping with smug satisfaction. "Maya and I need the cash to start fresh. She's not into that cramped little shack anyway." Maya. The name was a splinter under my skin. I'd suspected for months. His late-night client dinners, the sudden weekend trips for work, the way he'd stopped looking me in the eye. But hearing her name, spoken so carelessly, as if I were the outsider, sparked something fierce inside me. "Sounds like a plan," I said, my voice cool, refusing to let him hear the tremor in my chest. "My name is Claire, and until that call, I'd believed I'd married a man I could rely on." Ethan and I had poured our hearts into that beach house, a modest but beautiful retreat we'd bought after years of saving. It was more than a home. It was a promise of a life we'd built together. Or so I'd thought. The signs had been there, subtle but undeniable. Ethan's vague answers about our joint accounts, his habit of waving off my questions with a grin and a quick, "Don't worry, babe." I'd chalked it up to his confidence, his charm. Now I saw it for what it was, manipulation. The rest of the evening passed in a haze. I smiled through the investor dinner, nodding at the right moments while my mind churned. Ethan thought he'd outmaneuvered me, thought he could strip away the home I loved and leave me adrift. But he didn't know one critical detail. The beach house was solely in my name. We'd refinanced it the previous year, and I'd quietly had the deed transferred to protect our investment. Ethan had signed the papers without a second glance, too distracted by his own schemes to notice. His arrogance was about to sink him. Back in my cabin that night, my shock hardened into determination. Ethan wanted to play dirty? Fine. I wasn't going to beg or break. I called Sarah, my lawyer and closest confidant, laying out every detail as the yacht rocked gently beneath me. "He sold the beach house?" she said, her voice a mix of disbelief and amusement. "Does he not realize he can't do that without your signature?" "Apparently not," I replied, a faint smile creeping in. "He's already planning his new life with Maya, thinking he's cashed out." Sarah snorted. "He's in for a surprise. The sale's invalid, Claire. You've got sole ownership, and if he's taken any money, he's looking at fraud charges." The word fraud sent a thrill through me. "What's our next move?" I asked. "We'll notify the buyer the sale's void," Sarah said. "Then we send Ethan a letter spelling out exactly how much trouble he's in. If he pushes back, we'll drag him to court." I hung up, a strange calm settling over me. Ethan thought he'd left me stranded, but he'd just handed me the upper hand. For the rest of the trip, I threw myself into work, managing the yacht's events with precision while quietly planning my next steps. The betrayal stung, but the thought of Ethan's smug grin fading kept me grounded. When I returned to the marina, I was ready. Sarah had already contacted the buyer, who was furious at Ethan for the deception. "They're ready to cooperate," she told me as I stepped off the yacht, my suitcase in tow. "And I sent Ethan the letter this morning. No response yet, but I'd bet he's panicking." "Let him," I said, my voice steady. "He made his bed." The beach house was quiet when I arrived, the scent of salt and cedar greeting me like an old friend. Ethan's things were still scattered around, his surfboard propped against the wall, his sneakers by the door. But the space felt different, like it was holding its breath, waiting for me to take it back. That evening, Ethan barged in, his face flushed with anger, waving his phone. "What is this crap?" he yelled, referencing Sarah's letter. "You're saying I can't sell our house?" "It's not ours, Ethan," I said, crossing my arms. "It's mine. The deed's been in my name since the refinance. You signed it over yourself, or did you not bother to read the fine print?" He froze, his jaw tightening. "What are you talking about?" I pulled the deed from a folder on the counter, holding it up. "You agreed to transfer it to my name. The house is mine, and your sale is void. The buyer knows, and they're not happy. If you've spent any of their deposit, you're in deeper than you think." His bravado cracked, his eyes darting around the room. "You're making this up," he muttered, but the doubt in his voice betrayed him. "No, Ethan," I said, stepping closer. "You've been treating me like I'm too naive to notice your games, but I've been paying attention, and now you're the one who's out of moves." He paced, his frustration boiling over. "This is insane, Claire. You're blowing this out of proportion. You can't just kick me out." "I can and I will," I said, my voice unwavering. "This is my house. You can stay tonight, but only because I'm giving you time to figure out where you're going. Don't test me." Over the next few days, Ethan's confidence crumbled. He left voicemails, alternating between apologies and threats. But I ignored them. Sarah handled the legal side, ensuring the buyer backed out and the sale was officially voided. She also drafted the divorce papers, laying the groundwork for a clean break. One evening, my best friend Mia came over, helping me pack Ethan's things into boxes. "How's he holding up?" she asked, tossing one of his tacky aloha shirts into a pile. "Badly," I said, laughing despite myself. "He's still trying to talk his way out of it, but I'm done listening." "Good," Mia said, grinning. "He doesn't deserve a second of your time." The final blow came when Ethan showed up with Maya. They walked into the beach house like they owned it, her arm linked with his, a smug smile on her face. "So, this is our new place?" she said, glancing around. I stood from the couch, my heart racing but my resolve ironclad. "No, Maya, this is my place. Ethan's just been staying here, but that ends today. And you? You're not staying at all." Her smile vanished and she looked at Ethan. "What's she talking about?" You said you sold this place. It's complicated, Ethan stammered, avoiding her gaze. It's not, I said, stepping forward. Ethan tried to sell a house he doesn't own. The deed's in my name and the sale's void. He committed fraud, Maya, and if he doesn't return the buyer's money, he's in serious trouble. Maya's face paled. Fraud? She whispered, stepping back. You told me you had the money, Ethan. You lied? I can fix it, he said, his voice desperate, but she was already backing toward the door. I'm not getting involved in this, she snapped, then turned and left, her heels clicking on the hardwood. I turned to Ethan, a faint smile tugging at my lips. Looks like you're on your own. He slumped onto the couch, his head in his hands. Claire, please, I messed up. Can't we work this out? No, I said, placing the divorce papers on the table. Sign these and get your things out by tonight. This is your last chance to walk away without me pressing charges. He stared at the papers, defeated. You really want to destroy me? I'm not destroying you, I said, my voice steady. You did that yourself. You had a home, a partner, a life, and you threw it away for someone who just walked out on you. I'm just taking back what's mine. He left that night, his belongings packed into a few boxes, his footsteps heavy as he walked out the door. I locked it behind him, the new deadbolt clicking into place. The beach house was quiet, the sound of waves crashing outside a reminder of the peace I'd fought for. Mia came by the next evening with pizza and wine. He's really gone? She asked, sprawling on the couch. Really gone, I said, pouring us both a glass. To new beginnings. We toasted, and as the days passed, I began transforming the beach house. I hung new curtains, moved my favorite driftwood sculptures into the living room, and painted the walls a soft blue that mirrored the ocean. It wasn't just about redecorating, it was about making the space mine. Sarah kept me updated on the divorce. Ethan signed the papers without a fight, likely realizing he had no leverage. The buyer dropped their claim and the fraud charges were avoided, but the legal proceedings moved forward smoothly. You're free, Sarah said one day, her voice warm. Officially free. The word felt like a deep breath after years underwater. Ethan's texts stopped eventually, his attempts at reconciliation fading into silence. I didn't reply. I was done giving him my energy. One evening, as I sorted through old photos, I found one of Ethan and me from our first year together, laughing on the beach, the sunset behind us. For a moment, I let myself feel the ache of what could have been, but then I tucked the photo away. It was part of my past, not my future. Mia and I celebrated the finalized divorce at a seaside cafe, the ocean breeze carrying away the last of my doubts. You look like yourself again, she said, raising her glass. It's not about being single, I said, smiling. It's about being me. Back at the beach house, I started planning my next steps. The house was my sanctuary, but I knew I'd eventually move on to a new place, one untouched by Ethan's shadow. For now, I savored every moment in the space I'd reclaimed. As I sat on the deck one night, watching the stars reflect on the water, I thought about Ethan's smug phone call, his certainty that he'd won. His arrogance had been his undoing, and my quiet strength had been my victory. This wasn't just the end of a marriage, it was the start of a life where I set the course, where I chose my own horizon, and for the first time in years, I felt truly free.